The Birthright Educators Foundation. Narrative on capacity strengthening for year 2020. The year 2020 was a year of various challenges and adjustments. The pandemic lockdown has tremendously affected the state of persons and children with disabilities. Most parents of children with disabilities have lost their jobs and became dependent on government doleouts. The poverty that came with the lockdown made children with disabilities stop schooling. In Birthright, only 18 paying students and 12 scholars remained in school when the year before we had about 100 students. Many schools closed down in our area. In-house management had to cope with problems and take measures to cope with emergency. We did not cease employment of teachers and workers, but all of us agreed to reduce all our salaries. To strengthen and build our own capacity, we had to take the following measures. Number 1. The challenge to maintain contact with organizations and persons and children with disabilities. And the change from face-to-face to online teaching and meetings with people. To strengthen our web infrastructure, we realigned our budget to buy 3 more computers for our teachers to meet with their students online. Norphil and Liliani Foundation assisted us in doing this, as there was a need to have good contact between our CBID workers and the community. We provided our workers with good up-to-date cell phones to beef up their capacities to contact people. Today, we are able to meet with persons with disabilities organizations, parents of children with disabilities, and connect to chat groups through Messenger and Zoom meetings. Our children with Down syndrome were able to participate in the National Conference of the Rights of Children, because of a better Wi-Fi. Number 2. The change from face-to-face habilitation of children with disabilities at Birthright Rehabilitation Center ceased due to the pandemic, and we had to tap parents to habilitate their own children. Make home programs for their children and train parents to exercise their own children. We met with the parents of 24 children with Down syndrome, made them watch films about their children's case, exercising social distancing. And our teachers assessed their children and made home programs for them to implement at home. This is to build the capacity of parents to habilitate their own children with the stoppage of face-to-face rehabilitation. Our teachers weekly follow up the development of their children by calling the parents and establishing good relationship with them. We also mobilized our itinerant teachers and therapists using our L300 van provided by MEVA to visit students and hold classes near their homes. Teacher Marlowe, our male teacher, drove up to homes of children with severe disabilities who needed special attention. He also talked to parents who needed assurance and counseling. Our assistant physical therapist, Chum Del Rosario, visited children with disabilities, especially those with cerebral palsy, to teach parents how to exercise and help their children develop. Number 3. The care for children who lost their homes to natural disasters was an emergency when Typhoon Ulysses came last November 10, 2020. We mobilized our workers to cook food for the children, looked for children with disabilities among the evacuation centers who were not given attention. We advocated to the barangay officials the special care for the children with disabilities during disasters, as children with disabilities were not identified in the listing of evacuees. Number 4. During the strict lockdown, even some persons with disabilities had to look for ways to be transported to their work or look for a job online. However, due to lack of finances, they are not able to find ways to arrange for transport or buy necessary tools for online job. We were able to empower some persons with disabilities to have better transport, and we provided tools for them for online job. We helped finance for the change of tire and fixing of the whole motorcycle of Calves Fulo, president of Barangay Tunasan Persons with Disabilities Organization, so he could go to work and check his members' condition during the pandemic. We provided the needs of Veronica Calalang for her computer tools so she could connect with a job employer. We also provided a tri-bike for the mother of Kenneth Miguel Cabay, a boy with cerebral palsy, so that she can use to deliver the rice cakes and native snacks that she sells in the neighborhood for their livelihood. Her husband is not allowed to drive the tricycle daily due to COVID-19 lockdown. To further capacitate two persons with disabilities for livelihood, we sponsored the expenses of James Del Rosario, a person with hearing impairment, and Luis Salalima, a person with speech problem, in attending the TESDA scaffolding and carpentry classes. After the classes, James was able to make Christmas birdhouse decors which he sold to Friends of Birthright. From his earnings, he was able to buy a cell phone of his own which he had long wanted to own. Number 5. The challenge to continue meeting, planning and conceptualizing programs for the good of persons with disabilities groups had to continue through the lockdown. Norphil and Liliani Foundation and Birthright have been together in empowering and capacitating the Muntinlupa Down Syndrome Association through online meetings, games and other activities for the children. Before the end of the year, a meeting was held at Birthright by the Muntinlupa Down Syndrome Association to informally plan for next year's activities. However, the meeting turned out to be a sharing of experiences of parents in having a child with Down syndrome. Tears were shed and it was a catharsis for some parents, expressing their concern and issues for their children. The meeting encouraged the officers to plan for a conference for parents for 2021. Birthright remains behind the scene of parents planning for the activities of their organization. We remain just behind, capacitating the parents to think on their own and conceptualize their own activities. For the past 2 years, we have slowly built the capacity of parents with Down syndrome. From an initial membership of 27, today its membership has expanded to 86 because of its advocacy and the active recruitment of officers. For 2021, we plan to capacitate the parents of children with cerebral palsy in Muntinlupa by formally organizing them. We are optimistic that we can heal as one through this pandemic. We hope that year 2021 will bring us better conditions that will better our service delivery to persons and children with disabilities. God will help us through these times.